Amma stood in the heat of the Accra sun, clutching her husband Kojo's coffin as the choir sang. The city seemed to hum with sorrow, but nothing hit harder than Efua's quiet whisper: her teenage son Kobe was Kojo's child. Alma's heart froze. At the will reading, Lawyer Mensah opened the envelope and stunned everyone. Kojo's secluded Ada Foa beach house was left to my firstborn, KK. The words hung in the air like a storm cloud. Memories flooded back, the night of the blackout, rain pounding on the roof, Kojo crossing a line that could never be erased. Auntie Nana Aba insisted on a DNA test, and soon, the entire church whispered, rumors growing louder with every passing hour. Alma felt trapped between exposing Efua's secret and protecting Kobe from a world that would never forgive. She dug deeper, finding bank transfers, hidden photos, and a voicemail where Kojo pleaded with Efua to keep the truth buried. Every discovery sharpened her pain but also her resolve. On the windswept shoreline, waves crashing around her feet, Alma made her choice. She turned the inheritance into a trust for Kobe, securing his future without destroying Efua completely. She faced her sister, the hurt and anger between them palpable, but Amma spoke only once, calmly, and walked away. With each step on the sand, she felt the weight lift, the power return. In that moment, grief and betrayal twisted together, but Amma emerged stronger, protecting the boy who was her secret legacy and reclaiming her life from the shadows Kojo left behind. Nia stood at the edge of the polished black coffin as Nairobi's sun beat down, cameras from social media influencers capturing every moment of Malik's lavish funeral. The city watched, everyone glued to screens, unaware of the storm about to hit her life. She felt the weight of the expensive flowers, the music, and the perfectly curated ceremony, but nothing could prepare her for Zuri's whisper. Her younger sister leaned close and said, almost too softly to believe, that her son Jabari was Malik's. Then Zuri pressed a worn, folded envelope into Nia's hand, the paper soft from years of hiding it. Nia's fingers trembled as she opened it, revealing Malik's will. Advocate Weeksa read aloud with calm authority, Alamu cottage left, to my son born under the city lights, and a series of M-Pesa statements showing Malik had been supporting a child in secret every month. Nia's mind spun. She had loved Malik, trusted him, thought she knew him. She now had to untangle the truth from the lies. Locked in the quiet of their family home, Nia examined Malik's tablet. Every hotel receipt, every cryptic transaction along River Road led her deeper into his hidden life. She found a video, never sent, where Malik admitted everything, his confession, his guilt, and his fear of destroying her and the boy he called his own. Outside, the family fractured. Zuri's in-laws demanded refunds of bride prices, neighbors gossiped in harsh whispers, and a council of elders insisted on mediating the feud. Nia's anger and heartbreak battled with her desire to protect Jabari, to make the boy safe in a world where his father's mistakes had created chaos. Finally, she went to Lamu, the turquoise water reflecting the sky, the pier creaking beneath her feet. Nia insisted on a DNA test, forcing the truth into the open where everyone could see it. The results confirmed what she already suspected, and she turned the revelation into a moment of justice and compassion. She exposed Malik's double life, but rather than destroying Zuri, she protected her child, giving Jabari what he deserved, a future secured by Malik's hidden love. Nia held him close as the wind carried the salty spray across the pier, feeling the world shift beneath her feet. She had reclaimed control, setting firm boundaries with her sister, and in doing so, reshaped the story from scandal to strength. In front of the cameras, she stood tall, turning betrayal into a lesson in courage, love, and the power to choose her own path, proving that even in a world full of lies, truth and care could still prevail. Adise stood stiffly in the grand hall of Lagos, watching the black suits and polished shoes filing past Chike's coffin. The billionaire's funeral was meant to be a show of family strength, but tension crackled in the air like static. Then Kamsi, her younger sister, pulled her aside, voice trembling. Santo was Chike's son. Adise felt her stomach drop. The world she had known, the marriage, the family, the carefully built life, shifted in that single confession. At the reading of Chaik's will, the truth hit harder than any words could. Prized oil shares went to S.O., and a sleek Banana Island condo was left to my unnamed heir. Every eye in the room lingered on Adise, and she knew the whispers would last for weeks. Determined to find clarity, Adise retreated to her private study and pored over scanned documents and codicils. Hidden in metadata, she discovered a secret watermark dated the night before her wedding. Proof that Chaik had prepared for a life she had never known he planned. Outside, chaos erupted. Bloggers leaked photos, turning private grief into viral scandal. The company board whispered of disinheritance, eager to snatch the shares, while Chaik's mother dangled hush money, hoping to erase the truth. Adise felt the weight of her choices: protect her sister and the boy, or surrender to the power games that surrounded her. The courtroom became a battlefield, with Adise standing firm against Kamsi's fear and the matriarch's manipulations. Lawyers argued, relatives shouted, and the public followed every twist online. Adise's dignity became her armor, her strategy built on fairness, truth, and protecting Santo's right. Finally, the boardroom at the annual general meeting became the stage for the climax. Adise presented the evidence, endorsed Santo's legal claim, and exposed the cover-up orchestrated by Chaik's mother. The room fell silent, the power brokers stunned, and the dynasty's grip began to loosen. As she walked out of the mansion, sunlight spilling onto the polished floors, Adise felt an unexpected lightness. She had reclaimed her agency, ensured Santo received what was rightfully his, and refused to be chained by the family's greed or secrets. Outside, Lagos buzzed with life, indifferent to the battles she had fought inside, but Adise didn't care. She had faced betrayal, manipulation, and heartbreak, and emerged stronger. With each step, she felt freer, a woman no longer trapped by a legacy that had never been hers alone. In protecting the boy, she protected herself, and in doing so, she finally walked away on her own terms, leaving the empire's shadows behind, ready to live life unshackled and fully in charge of her own story. Thandi stood under the bright Durban sun, surrounded by mourners singing hymns for Saipho, the man everyone called a community hero. The flowers were beautiful, the choir strong, but nothing could quiet the shock when her sister Zanil stepped close, voice shaking, and admitted that her son Wandel was Saipho's child. Thandi's chest tightened. At the reading of the will, they learned Saipho had left a Stellenbosch vineyard and a scholarship fund specifically for my son LS. The words hit like a storm. She wanted to scream, to cry, to understand how the man she had loved could leave such a tangled legacy. Thandi retreated to the quiet of her home, sifting through Saipho's files. She discovered encrypted voice notes where he admitted the affair and, worse, revealed that his mother had funneled bribes to keep Zanil silent for years. Every note deepened the pain, but it also gave her clarity. Outside, the township was restless. Whispers turned into violence. Posters defaced her clinic, and loyal donors withdrew support, leaving her scrambling to keep her community work alive. The betrayal was personal, public, and heavy. As the sun dipped over Umlanga's promenade, Thandi confronted Zanil. Waves crashed against the shore, mirroring the turmoil in both their hearts. They had both been caught in Saipho's charm, trapped by his choices and the family pressure that followed. Thandi felt anger, disappointment, but also an unexpected compassion. The boy, Wandel, had done nothing wrong, and the scholarship fund could give him a future Saipho could never provide. She made a choice that balanced justice with mercy. The vineyard, the scholarship, and the legacy would honor Wandel, but the family secrets would end with them. Thandi would no longer be a prisoner of Saipho's mistakes or the whispers of a community that wanted scandal over truth. Standing with the wind in her hair and the waves at her feet, she told Zanil they had to move forward differently, for the boy, for themselves. She would protect what mattered most, even if it meant confronting the past openly and without compromise. By the time the sun disappeared into the horizon, Thandi felt a strange peace. The scandal, the grief, the whispers, they could not touch the decision she had made. Owandel's name would carry the opportunity Saipho had left, and Thandi would finally step free from the shadow of lies that had long haunted her family. She walked away along the promenade, leaving the past behind but carrying the strength she had found in facing it. In that moment, Durban felt less like a place of sorrow and more like a space for rebuilding, where truth, care, and courage could finally guide the next chapter. Amina stood by the shore in Dar es Salaam, the salty sea breeze whipping around her as mourners in crisp suits and bright dresses followed Hamasai's coffin. The funeral was supposed to honor a respected businessman, but nothing could prepare her for Salma's trembling confession: her son Juma was Hamasai's child. Amina's heart twisted. She had loved Hamasai, believed in the life they built together, but now a hidden world of secrets had landed in her lap. At the will reading, the truth hit like a wave. Hamasai's fishing fleet and a Pangani beach plot were split, and the biggest trawler was left specifically to JH, initials that left no room for doubt. Determined to understand, Amina dug through Hamasai's hidden life. She found receipts for luxury goods and hotel stays, a secret apartment he had rented, and even a doctor's note showing he had planned to confess the truth before a critical surgery. Every piece painted the picture of a man torn between love, fear, and responsibility. But the revelation came with a price. The harbor community, who had once respected her, now whispered that Amina was cold and calculating, while Salma faced scorn for her betrayal. It felt like the world had turned against them both. When the day of the fleet blessing arrived, the harbor was crowded, the fishing boats bobbing in the sunlit water. Amina stood tall, the weight of grief and anger balanced by clarity. In front of everyone, she placed the largest trawler into a trust for Juma, ensuring the boy would inherit what was rightfully his without falling into corruption. She fired managers who had skimmed profits, exposing years of deceit, and turned to Salma with a steady voice. They would co-parent Hamasai's legacy, she said, but they could not co-parent the pain he had left behind. The words were harsh but true, drawing a line between the past and the future. As the sun reflected off the harbor, Amina felt the burden lift slightly. The scandal, the community judgment, the whispers, all of it still stung, but she had acted with fairness and courage. Juma had his future secured, and the corrupt influence around Hamasai's fleet had been dismantled. Amina realized she could honor her own integrity while navigating the tangled web of secrets and betrayal. Walking away from the dock, she let the wind and the waves wash over her. She had faced heartbreak, deception, and public scrutiny, but she had also reclaimed control over what mattered most. The sea breeze carried away whispers of shame, leaving a sense of purpose behind. Amina knew the road ahead would not be easy, but with Juma's future protected and the legacy in responsible hands, she felt the first real taste of freedom. In that moment, the harbor no longer felt like a place of judgment, it became a space where courage, truth, and resilience could chart the course for the next chapter of their lives. Quesa stood by Bosco's grave in Kigali, the morning sun casting a soft glow over the gathered crowd. Her heart ached as the choir sang, remembering the man who had spent his life helping others. But grief quickly tangled with shock when her sister Adise leaned close and whispered that her quiet son Ganza was Bosco's child. The word struck Quesa like a sudden wind, leaving her reeling. At the will reading, the truth became undeniable. Bosco had left a university endowment in Ganza's name and a beautiful lake house at Kivu, for my son. The letters and legal documents felt like both a gift and a burden, and the weight of responsibility pressed down on her. In the quiet of their home, Quesa pored over Bosco's diaries, reading his thoughts, his regrets, and the drafts of apology letters he had never sent. Each page revealed a man who had made mistakes but had cared deeply about the future of the boy he would never publicly claim. Relatives, scandalized by the secret, demanded the will be voided, citing shame and tradition. Even the pastor urged forgiveness without asking for truth, trying to calm the family and keep appearances intact. But Quesa could not let silence and fear dictate Ganza's future. Determined, she arranged a lakeside meeting at Kivu, the sun reflecting off the shimmering water, creating a peaceful yet tense backdrop. She demanded DNA proof, not to humiliate anyone, but to secure Ganza's rightful place in the world. When the results confirmed what she already suspected, Quesa's resolve strengthened. She spoke to family, friends, and community members, reframing the scandal as an opportunity instead of a shameful secret. She announced that the endowment would fund scholarships, not just for Ganza, but for other young people in Rwanda, transforming personal grief into a legacy of learning and hope. The community murmured at first, uncertain and hesitant, but Quesa's clarity and courage gradually shifted the narrative. Ganza's future was protected, and Bosco's true legacy, his commitment to education and opportunity, was now visible for all to see. By turning a family secret into a public good, Quesa reclaimed control over the story, ensuring it would inspire rather than destroy. Standing at the edge of the lake, watching the sun glint on the water, Quesa felt a sense of peace she had not known since Bosco's passing. The whispers, the shame, and the arguments of relatives could not touch the decision she had made. She had honored her husband's memory in the way that mattered most, safeguarded her nephew's future, and turned sorrow into something meaningful. In that moment, the lake, the endowment, and the scholarship program became symbols of resilience, truth, and hope. Quesa walked away from the shore with her head high, knowing she had faced heartbreak and scandal with courage, transforming it all into a brighter path for Ganza and countless others who would benefit from the gift of education. Miam stood in the sunlit hall of the high society funeral, her heart heavy as guests murmured condolences for Karim, the man who had built a business empire from the ground up. The elegant ceremony could not shield her from the shock when her sister Ajua pulled her aside, whispering that her son Ismail was Karim's child. Miriam's mind raced. At the will reading, Kwame announced the truth. Karim had left the cocoa estate and a warehouse in Yamoussoukro, to my heir Ismail K, along with a key to a safe box that promised even more secrets. Miriam felt both the weight of responsibility and the stirrings of determination. She spent hours unlocking the safe box and combing through ledgers. They revealed Karim's hidden visits, school fees quietly paid, and a draft statement he had planned for New Year's, all pointing to his intention to provide for Ismail even in secrecy. But the world outside was not as kind. Gossip spread quickly among the elites, and Karim's brothers moved to seize the estate, questioning Miriam's decisions and challenging the boy's legitimacy. The tension threatened to overwhelm her, but she knew she could not let fear or scandal decide the boy's future. The moment of truth came in the cocoa fields, where workers paused to watch Miriam confront the family. She stood tall, showing the records, validating Ismail's inheritance, and demanding that Karim's brothers sign a public accord confirming the boy's rights. The crowd watched as she reclaimed the estate for its rightful heir, proving courage could silence even the loudest critics. Once the business was secured, Miriam stepped back, choosing her own fresh start, leaving the legacy in Ismail's hands. In that moment, she realized that protecting the boy and honoring Karim's intentions was worth more than society's judgment, and she walked away free, knowing the estate, and the future, was safe.